An introduction to formatting a Word document non-visually. Now, I know some of the people in our audience may be retired or use Word for purely creative purposes. So talking about the visual aspects of a document may not interest you, but please stay tuned as we have some really useful tasks coming up that I think you'll enjoy. You might be asking yourself, what is challenging about formatting a Word document when you're blind or visually impaired? But for those of us who live life primarily non-visually, creating a document that is error-free, easy to read, and also is visually appealing can seem daunting. You might also ask yourself why it is important to learn formatting. But in school and in work, formatting can be a really important aspect of your documents. Often teachers in college and high school have exacting requirements for documents, papers, and essays. And we're going to talk more about those specific types of styles a little bit later on, like APA and MLA. But also in work, if you have consistent formatting issues in your documents, it could lead to poor performance reviews or eventually cost you your job. It's important to remember that formatting is not just the visual aspects of the job, but affects how sighted people are able to read your work and your ideas. Just in the same way that a non-visual user might get irritated about having poor quality audio because we find it distracting and hard to learn from, or poorly formatted Braille on a Braille display. Hey, we all know about that. It's distracting and hard to read, and sighted people find poorly formatted documents just the same. Today, I'm going to cover a few basic formatting principles, and in future, we'd like to dive much deeper into this topic, including styles in particular, since that's such a powerful formatting feature, and we won't have time to cover it today. But if you do have suggestions about what we cover next as far as formatting goes, send your suggestions to training@vispero.com. That way we can prioritize what we cover. The three basic principles we are going to talk about today are font, line spacing, and margins. And again, these are all fairly visual aspects, but we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of them, and that's the three topics we're going to touch on for this lesson. Font is how your text appears on the page. It could refer to the intensity of how much it stands out, or the style, or the size. In our last webinar on April 4th, we covered different tasks within Word, and Dan went into an instructional demo on how to set font permanently in the font dialog box. I encourage you to go back and check it out. It's in our archive on our free webinars page. You can go listen to that. It might also be a tutorial on YouTube soon. But the way you're going to access your font dialog box, you can do in several different ways. You can do it with Control-D, which I know is a common one that was brought up during our last webinar, or Control-Shift-F, Foxtrot, that Dan used in the instructional demo. Either way you go, you can move through this dialog box with the Tab and Shift tab to move linearly through the dialog, or to change pages within dialog, you'll use Control-Tab. Line spacing and the paragraph dialog box. Line spacing refers to the space between lines in your document. Often visually, the more space between them, the more defined the document looks and the easier it is to read. For many collegiate students, there are very specific line spacing requirements for different styles like APA or MLA, and most common is double spaced. But not all documents require that, some do. I'm going to just give you a few shortcuts on how to change your line spacing really quickly, and then we'll talk briefly about the paragraph dialog, which you can go into if you want to make more significant adjustments. To change your line spacing in a document quickly, all you need to do is use Control-A to select all, and then there's a series of keyboard commands you can use to choose your line spacing, either Control-0 for the minimum of line spacing, Control-1 for single line spacing, Control-5 for 1.5 line spacing, and Control-2 finally for double spacing, which I mentioned is really common in collegiate situations for document formatting. So Control-A and then one of those keyboard commands, which is Control-0 through 2, will change the line spacing on a document automatically. For more detailed controls about spacing, indentations, and so on, you'll access the paragraph dialog box. I most commonly do this through the context menu. So I'll do Shift F10 or Applications menu, depending on which keyboard I have, navigate to paragraph and open up that dialog. Again, you can move through that with Tab and Shift Tab and make specifications to the spacing in your document based on that. And last, but certainly not least, the very little talked about margins. Margins determine how much white space is around the edges in your documents. You can have narrow margins, wide margins, normal margins. The way you access them is through the Layout tab. So to jump straight to it, you use Alt-P-M, and that'll jump you straight to the margins menu in a Word document, and you're able to choose which type of margins you want to use. And this is important when you're formatting a document, because you definitely don't want a situation where your text is running off the page. You want Word to keep everything clean, so you have that nice white space around your text. It's easy to read and not confusing for someone who's viewing it visually. So again, you will access margins in the Layout tab, Alt-P-M, and choose your margins from there. Lastly, really quick, I want to touch on some additional resources for formatting a Word document for a professional or student who's blind or visually impaired. There are so many aspects to this topic. It's not just one task, it's more of a handful of tasks. And we've just barely scratched the surface today. So I wanted to put you out there some additional resources so you can look it up on your own if this is something that is a struggle for you or something that you do on a daily basis. I would definitely recommend you check out Purdue OWL, which we have the link up here now. We can also put it in the chat here in a few minutes when it's time for Q&A. They have a great load of resources, K through 12, on how to format documents specifically for different styles, APA, MLA, etc., and it's all accessible. Additionally, there is a National Braille Press book that recently came out. You may have seen it in the newest Flying Blind newsletter about formatting a Word document using JAWS. It's written by David Kingsbury. And then lastly, but a resource that I turn to a lot is Dr. Denise Robinson from Your Tech Vision, or Tech Vision, which is her company. They teach assistive technology, and she also has a ton of videos on YouTube, and a lot of them cover formatting in Word and really specific topics. So definitely give Dr. Denise Robinson's videos a search if you're interested in more information or more specific information about formatting in Word as a professional or student who's blind or visually impaired.
So we're going to start by navigating through the Save As dialog box and discussing that a little, and then we're going to actually save a document. I'm going to show you a quicker way of saving it in a chosen location. Now, there are many ways to save a document to get to this Save As dialog box, but I'm going to use one of them today. Press the F12 key to activate this. Now, this will work whether you are in a new document that has never been saved or a document that you've saved previously.
F12. Save as dialog. File name : edit combo. This is a practice document.
All right. So now that we're in this dialog, the first field here is the file name box. That's where you type the name of your file. And I'm going to navigate through here with the Tab key. So let's do that.
Save as type : combo box. Word document 1 of 17.
This is where you can change the file type of your document. So if you wanted to save it as a type other than a Word document, such as HTML or RTF or text, you could navigate through this list using the arrow keys, and you could do that.
Metadata row: authors : edit. Elizabeth Whitaker. Authors : picture 1 ad. Edit.
Okay, this is a field that mentions the author of the document, and you can actually change that and edit that information.
Tags : add a tag. Edit.
This is the tags field. Tags are keywords that are used to help you find documents more easily. So if you're searching for this document on your computer, you could add tags that would allow you to search for them instead of having to remember some specific text that was in your document. You could use those tags.
Save thumbnail checkbox not checked.
Saving a thumbnail, this may not be as important as to some of you who use JAWS, but if you check this box, it will save a preview image along with the file name. It'll place it beside the file name.
Toolbar hide folders button.
This allows you to hide the folders that are shown, the folder list. So if you were to press space on this option, it would hide those folders, and instead it would say Browse Folders button, and then you would press space to unhide those.
Menu tools.
This is a tools menu that contains some more advanced options. We're not going to get into that today, but it does contain some more options.
Leaving menus. Save button.
That's a save button.
Cancel button.
You could cancel if you didn't want to save.
Toolbar up to quote this PC, quote left parent alt plus up arrow right parent button.
This allows you to navigate back and forth through various locations for saving your file. We're not going to use this today either, but it is one way of navigating through those locations.
Toolbar all locations split button.
Now this is a split button. You can choose locations here, but it's also an address field that allows you to type a specific location. We're going to talk about that in more detail here in a few minutes.
Search box edit.
And that's a search box where you can type, or where you can search for information, locations.
Command module toolbar organize button.
This toolbar contains 4 buttons. We have organize. I'm going to right arrow here.
New folder button.
Create a new folder.
View split button.
Change the views.
And help button.
Or help. So we're not going to talk about that in depth today either, but it is a toolbar that does give you more features.
Tree view, documents closed, 3 of 8.
Here's where you can choose where you want to save the file. So if you want to choose your hard drive or a flash drive or a cloud drive or something, you could choose that here.
Shell folder view, items view list box, a PowerSoft 1/30/2019 11:20 AM file folder, 1 of 9.
Now this is where whichever location you choose in the box that we were just in, this is where it lists the folders and files in that location. And as you heard, it also announces the date and time that that file is created or saved.
Header name split button.
This allows you to organize your files. So if you want, ordinarily they're alphabetical order from A to Z, from top to bottom. You can reverse that, or you can actually have it show you the files that begin with certain letter, like certain ranges, for example, Q through S or something of that nature. So it's just a way of organizing how it shows you the files.
File name : combo box. This is a practice document. 0 items. This is a practice document.
Okay, we're back to the file name combo box. Now, we are going to save a file in an alternate location of our choice. So I'm going to escape here to get out of this dialog box so we can start over.
Escape. Edit unavailable. Edit.
Now I'm back in the document, and
this is a practice document.
Just have some text here, nothing exciting. But I'm going to press F12 again.
F12. Save as dialog. File name : edit combo. This is a practice document.
Now this document has never been saved, and Word by default will pick the top line of text and just kind of put that in the box for you by default. If you wanted to save the file in the default location, you could just type a name for it and press enter, and it will do that. We're not going to do that, so we're just going to leave this for a minute. We're going to come back to it. But I'm going to press Control-L to jump to the address box, and I'm going to type a specific location. So Control-L.
Control-L, address edit combo, documents.
Now it said documents. It told me the folder where it's going to save my file. Well, I don't want to put it there. I've created a folder called Practice Files. So I'm going to type that in now.
PRACTICE space FILES.
And I'm going to press enter.
Toolbar all locations split button.
Okay, now it moved my focus to a different field. So I want to go back and verify that the right folder is now selected. So I'm going to press Control-L again to go back to the address box.
Control-L, address edit combo, C:\users /UItaker /documents /practice files.
Okay, that's good. That told me what I needed to know. Now you can easily jump to the file name box by pressing Alt-N. And I'm going to try this from here. For some reason, it wasn't working for me earlier, but let's try.
Alt-N.
Okay, that did not work. So what I'm going to do is Tab to get out of the address box.
Search box edit.
And now I'm going to try Alt-N.
Alt-N, file name colon combo box. This is a practice document. 0 items. This is a practice document. File name colon.
So now it took me to the file name box, and I'm going to go ahead and type in FS.
FS space SKILL BUILDING space PRACTICE.
And I'm going to press enter, which will save the file and return me to my document.
Edit unavailable. Edit.
Okay, now I want to verify that I'm in my document. I'm sure I am, but I'm going to press Insert T.
Title is FS Skill Alert. Richie has left. Title is FS Skill Building Practice Word. Print view.
And here we go. So now we have.
This is a practice document.
We have our text. So that is a quicker way of saving a document in an alternate location.
The first thing I want to do is just start by telling you what we're going to do in this task. In this task, what we're going to do is look at the way that the spelling errors in Microsoft Word are announced with JAWS and how you can change those. With the latest version of JAWS 2019, you can play a sound or have a sound played when you enter a misspelled word, and a different sound can be played or is played when the word is corrected, either when you do it manually or with autocorrect. And when we did our webinar a couple of weeks ago, Liz actually did a demonstration of that. So I'm not going to demonstrate that part of it again, but some of the other things that we can now do is just have better responsiveness for underlining errors in Braille and counting the errors on the line when you're navigating up and down through a document, things like that. We also have the ability to detect more advanced proofing errors and then read the error in line as you're navigating. So what I'd like to do is just kind of talk a little bit about it with you and show it to you as well. We're going to do some practice, but before I do that, I've got a picture or an image of the JAWS Settings Center open on my screen here, and this is just something that we're going to look at together, and I'll actually go into it in a minute. But when you first open up Settings Center, this is JAWS Settings Center, the keystroke is Insert 6 on the numbers row. The title of the Settings Center will show the application that you opened it in. In other words, if I open it from Word, it'll say JAWS Settings Center for Microsoft Word or for Word. If it was Excel, it would say Excel. Now, on the left-hand side of the Settings Center is a tree view. And as you move up and down the tree view, if it's a tree view item is closed, you can click it with your mouse to open it, or you can press right arrow to open it. As we move up and down the tree view and you come to an item, it's designed so that you can just simply press spacebar on most of the items in the tree view to toggle through the different choices if there's more than one choice. There are some times when you may need to get to the right-hand side of the dialog box, but for the most part, that's very rare. It's only when you have to type in a number, like if you're doing some editing and you have to type in a physical number in an edit field somewhere. Most of the time, as I said, you can just do everything by pressing spacebar here in the tree view. Now, just below the tree view is a helps section. So if you're navigating up and down the tree view and you want to know what that particular item in the tree view does, just tab to the help text and read it. There's also an apply button and an OK button and a cancel button and things like that. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and open up Settings Center. I'm going to press Insert 6 on my numbers row.
Word-JAWS Settings Center dialog, search box edit, Control+E, Microsoft Word document, Microsoft Word document, edit.
And I just heard JAWS say that it was Settings Center, Microsoft Word, and then edit. So now, if you don't have JAWS, don't worry about it. If you don't want to follow along and you do have JAWS, you can just sit back and listen. You don't have to do this with me. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to press down arrow to move into the tree view, and I'm going to find the item that says text processing. So I'm just going to down arrow a few times.
Tree view, level 0, user, web/HTML/PDFs, forms mode, text processing, closed.
There it is, and I'll press right arrow to open it.
Text processing, open, 3 items.
I'm going to move to the third item below text processing, which is proofing.
Level 1, general, number and date processing, proofing, closed.
It says it's closed, and I'll press right arrow to open that.
Proofing, open, 7 items.
And these are the items that we're going to discuss and go through. So I'll just press down arrow to go to the first item.
Level 2, detect spelling while navigating, say misspelled, 1 of 7. proofing text processing.
So the default for JAWS is to say the word misspelled, say misspelled, when it encounters an error. So I'm going to go back into the document here that I have
Notification
open,
of spelling errors in Word-Reb. Edit.
and I'm going to scroll down a little bit because I have a line of text right below the line that's
Home.
here, and
T.
I'm going to press down arrow to read it. It's got 3 misspelled words in it, and what you'll hear JAWS do is it'll say the word misspelled in front of each one of those misspelled words.
I'm going to test this with some misspelled errors in words misspelled error in this misspelled sentence.
Okay, so JAWS said I'm going to test this with some, and then misspelled in front of the word errors in words, and then misspelled again in front of the word here, which was the second misspelled word, and then misspelled the third time in front of the word sentence. So let's go back over to Settings Center. I'm just going to press Alt-Tab.
Task switching. JAWS Settings Center Word. Word-JAWS Settings Center dialog. Tree view. Detect spelling while navigating say misspelled. 1 of 7.
And that's what we just heard. JAWS just was saying misspelled when it came to those misspelled words.
Detect spelling while typing checked.
This is checked by default. Detecting spelling while typing is what gives you the sound that you heard when Liz was doing those demos last time. Let's do another down arrow here.
Speak spelling error count not checked.
Let's check that one. I'll press spacebar.
Space. Checked.
Now to see how this works, I'm going to click the apply button, and you can do that by the keyboard with Alt and the letter A alpha. So I'll press Alt A alpha.
Alta.
And then I'll switch back to the document.
Notification of spelling errors in Word -
Now,
edit.
I'm going to do a say line, which is insert up arrow.
3 spelling errors. I'm going to test this with some misspelled errors in words misspelled error in this misspelled sentence.
Good. So I heard it say 3 errors on that line, and that's exactly what I wanted to hear. I'm going to switch back over to
Task switching. Word-JAWS settings.
Settings Center again and go to the next option down, which is Grammar and Advanced Proofing.
Grammar and advanced proofing not checked.
Let's check that one and
Space. Checked.
press Alt-A alpha for the apply button
Alta.
and switch back over to Word with Alt-Tab.
Notification of spelling errors in Word - edit.
Now, I'm on a line in page 2 of my document, and I think here in line, one of these lines on page 3, I have a grammar error. And what you'll hear is JAWS will say the word grammar in front of the word or phrase that is the grammar error, and then it'll say end grammar at the end of that. So if you listen when I press down arrow to move to this next line, the word reads, R-E-A-D-S, is the grammar error, and it's underlined in a double blue underline. I'm going to press down arrow.
JAWS grammar read send grammar this line of text with the grammar error.
And so JAWS said JAWS, quote, grammar, basically. Reads is the word that's the grammar error, and then it said end grammar, this line of text. So that's the indication that you get. Now, if you want to turn this feature off, you can set the detect spelling while navigating to off. I'm going to go back to Settings Center.
Task switching. Word-JAWS settings center dialog.
Before I do that, I'm just going to down arrow through these other choices.
Speak grammar / proofing error count not checked.
So just like the speak spelling error count, I can get an error count of grammar errors on the line.
Apply options during say all not checked.
If you want to hear these things when you're pressing insert down arrow to read the entire document, you can do that.
Braille closed. Braille open.
And for
2
Braille,
items.
we have
Level 3. Underline spelling errors checked. 1 of 2. Braille proofing text processing.
underline spelling errors is checked by default.
Underline grammatical and advanced proofing errors not checked.
And grammatical and advanced proofing in Braille is not checked by default. So what I'm going to do is go up to to detect spelling while navigating.
Detect spelling while navigating say misspelled.
Now the default again is say misspelled. I'm going to press spacebar to turn this to off.
Space. Play sound. 3 of 3.
We could just have it play the sounds, but I'm just going to press spacebar again.
Space. Off. 1 of 3.
And I'll press Alt-A to apply that.
Alta.
Alt-A alpha to apply. And then Alt-Tab back to the document.
Notification of spelling errors in Word-Reb.docs-Word. Notification of spelling errors
now,
in...
I'm going to read this line where the grammar error is, and it should still read it because I didn't turn that off yet. I'll press insert up arrow.
JAWS grammar read send grammar this line of text with the grammar error.
Right, good. That's exactly what I wanted. But let's see about the spelling errors. I'm going to down arrow into that line where there were 3 errors.
I'm going to test this with some errors in words in this sentence.
Okay, so I didn't hear any of the notifications or any of that other stuff. All right, so I'm going to go back to Settings Center real quickly.
Task switching, Microsoft.
And so what I would like to do is I'm going to go back to Grammar and Advanced Proofing.
Grammar and Advanced Proofing checked.
And uncheck that.
Space, not checked.
And apply that.
Alta.
Now, if I want to go back and change this back to the defaults, I'm going to go back up to Detect Spelling while navigating.
Detect spelling while navigating off.
And press spacebar until it comes back to the default setting.
Space, same as spelled, 2 of 3.
Which is same as spelled. Now, when I changed this before to off, it unchecked Detect Spelling while typing. So I'm going to down arrow to that.
Detect spelling while typing not checked.
And I'll press spacebar to recheck that because
space, checked.
That should be checked by default. So the 2 default settings here that I've changed back were Detect Spelling while navigating is set back to same as spelled, and Detect Spelling while typing is set to checked again. I'll press Alt-A, Alpha to apply.
Alta.
And I'm going to go ahead and close Settings Center just by pressing Escape.
Escape. Notification of spelling errors in Word-reb.docs-Word. Edit.
So this is just a nice feature in JAWS that's been improved, and you have the ability to go in and customize it as we just did. I'm going to show you how to mark and return to a place in Word. I had a document open here, and on page 1 in this document, I have step 1.
JAWS spoke : I'm going to test this with some misspelled 1. In Microsoft Word, open JAWS Settings Center by pressing Insert +6 on the number row.
Oh, I had it off already. All right, sorry. So here I am on this step 1.
1. In Microsoft Word, open JAWS Settings Center by pressing Insert +6 on the number row.
And below that, there's an image of Settings Center, which is taking up the rest of page 1. And then step 2 doesn't actually happen until down near the bottom of page 2, after some definitions and some terms and things that we talked about before. So what if I want to be able to move to step 2 without having to scroll through all this stuff? I'm going to focus on
full speech,
the word center in Settings Center.
Settings Center.
Right there.
Center, space, unselected.
So how about I put the focus on the letter C in Charlie here?
C.
Capital C.
Charlie.
And to set a marked place in Microsoft Word, you simply press the Windows key with the Control key and the letter K, kilo. So I'll press Control Windows K.
Marking place.
JAWS set marking place. Now I'm going to press Control Home to go back to the top of the document.
Top of file. Heading level 1 notification of spelling errors in Word. Spelling error JAWS 2000.
And I just pressed down arrow a few times. But again, if I wanted to find that spot again, I'd have to scroll to the next page, scroll a few lines down, probably 2/3 of the way down. But I can move to that spot by pressing the Alt key plus the Windows key and the letter K. So I'll press Alt, Windows K.
Returning to marked place. Center.
I heard the word center, and I'll press the numpad 5 by itself to say the current character.
C.
And it's actually on the letter
Charlie.
C in the word center, as that was where I placed the place marker. So that's how to set a place marker in Word and return to it very quickly and easily. There can only be one place marker for each document in this fashion. The place marker is not something that's seen visually. It's something that's just internal to JAWS. So if you share this document with a friend or a colleague, they're not going to see anything about it or know anything about your place marker. And it will be there the next time you open that document, even if you've closed your computer and started up again another day or another time. Alrighty, thank you very much for joining us for that section on marking and returning to a place in Word.
Well, we thank you all for taking the time out of your day to be with us today. We really appreciate it. And again, go ahead and check out the archive. If you know of anyone who may benefit from this, you can share it with them. They can listen to it. Each task will be broken down into audio by task. So definitely check that out and subscribe to our mailing list if you'd like to get an update of when the archive goes up.